Hi friends, it's Becky, and I thought I would share a little beaded cord that I have been working on. It's a fairly simple bead weaving pattern. It's repetitive and it is sort of a meditative thing to be able to do. And all you do is basically you're going to be beading a little arm or a little loop of beads around a core of beads, and it's called spiral stitch for very obvious reasons. And this is one that I started earlier this week, and it's something that I've just been working on off and on, using some of the beads from the previous months, the October Adornable Elements Beads of the Month Club for their seed bead subscription. And I just got my November Bead of the Month subscription, and I thought I would do another one with this as well, because there are two different ways that you can do a spiral stitch. One way, like this, is where you put your core beads on first and you string them all on, and then you just pick up beads and go back through the core and attach them as you go all the way to the end. The other one is where you put your core beads on while you're doing your arms. And like the core is this red one is the core, and these brown ones are the arms. I'm going to be using this dark blue bead as my core, and then like the light blue, silver, and white beads as my arms for my second one that I do. This one's going to be necklace length, and then the other one is going to be bracelet length. I thought that would be a good way to do it. So let me show you the two different ways. I've got a little drawing, and we'll just walk through it before I start showing you with the beads so you kind of understand where I'm going with it. So for the core one, where you string the core on first, you're going to have all of those beads out there. And then to start adding your arms, you're going to go out of the fourth bead from the end, like that. Pick up, and I'm using 4, by the way, because I like the way that it looks. You can use different numbers. You could do 3 beads, you could do 5 beads, you could do 6 beads. It's up to you, and it's a personal preference thing, but I'm using 4. So you always want to go 4 back and 5 forward. If you're doing like 3 or 6 or something, like for 3, you do 3 back and 4 forward. It's always going to be 1 more than what you went back. But you'll see that in just a minute. So I've gone through these 4 beads, and I'm coming out of it with my thread. I'm going to pick up 4 of my arm beads and then go back 4 beads from where I was coming out and go through those one more time. So I'm going through all 4 of those beads plus 1. So back 4, forward 5. So I've done that, and now I'm coming out of this bead here, or right here. I'm going to pick up another 4 beads, go back 4, go through all of those plus 1. So I go back 4, forward 5. And then I'm going to be coming out of this bead, pick up 4 more arm beads, going back 4 and forward 5. And you just keep doing that all the way along the length that you've already strung on your thread. That's how that one works when you do your core first. Now, if you want to add it as you go, I'm going to start, and I'll do this with you. I'm going to start with 8 beads. I'm going to put on 4 of my core beads, 4 of my arm beads, and I'm just going to go back through these. And after I go through these 4 beads, I'm going to pick up 1 more of my core beads, like that. And then I'll be coming out of that 5th core bead right there. I'm going to pick up my 4 arm beads that are the next ones, and I'm going to go back 4 and then forward 5, but I don't have 5 beads, so I'm going to pick up another of my core beads. Same thing here, coming out of that bead right there that I just picked up, I'm going to pick up 4 of my arm beads, go 4 back, then I'm going to go through those 4 and add 1 more, just like that. And I'm going to keep doing that all the way until it gets to the length that I want, and I've finished adding as many beads as I'm going to add. And when we do that, I'll show you how we're going to attach some clasps and things, but that's how that one goes. And here's the thing is I can pick up this bead and all of these all at the same time, like that, and just kind of put them next to each other when I go through here. And I'll show you how to do that when I get my beads up. So the thread that I'm using is just 6-pound Fireline, and it's light thread, so I thought I'd have this dark background so you could see it a little bit easier. And let me show you real quick. I'm just going to do one arm with the core first on here. So let me just get these guys out. And I'm doing 5 arm colors on this one, and I'm doing 4 on this. You could do just a single core color and then another arm color and just have it be one color, or you could do like 7 colors, or you could do just like a solid color so it's all the core and these are all the same color. It's up to you. It's totally choice on what you want to use for that. So let me pull out my thread on this one. I've already got it coming out of one of these beads because like I said, I've been working on this for a little while. So you'll see right here, and you'll want to turn it so you can see where you're at. It's coming out of this bead that is one more and incremented up from the last 4 beads that I added. So I'm going to add 4 seed beads in the next color in my order. Pick those up right here. And I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 seed beads back. So into that 4th one, if I can wiggle my needle enough for it. Come on, buddy. There we go. Sometimes you have to move the other beads out of the way. So you see I'm coming through those 4 right there. I'm going to add 1 more. So I am going through 5 beads. Right there, that 5th seed bead. And that's just going to add this little arm of beads right next to the other ones in that spiral, and I'm coming out 1 bead further from where I started. So that's the one when you do the core first, and you just string that first, and you just keep doing that until you've been doing it for a while and you're sick of it. So that's something that you can do with those. Let me put this away real quick and get this one out, because for this one we're just going to start here. Now let me get a stop bead because I am going to want to leave some space for what is the word that I'm looking for? I'm going to want to leave some space for, or some thread at the tail for attaching a button or making a loop. So let me give myself about 12 inches of room on my tail thread. This is a thread hungry project, so you will have to add more even if you're using an arm's length. I would not suggest using longer than an arm's length because it's so easy for your thread to get tangled when you use a lot of it. So I just went around that bead 1 time, and that's just going to keep my beads from flying off when I'm, swinging it around. So I'm going to pick up 4 of my core beads, just like in my little drawing right here, 4 of those core beads, and then 4 of my first arm bead. So 4 core. This is to get it started. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got these 4 guys on here, and then 4 of this next one. 1, 2, 3. That's too many. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to scooch these guys down next to my stop bead so I can go back through just my core beads. Like that. And this is the part where I'm going to add another core bead so that I'm going ahead 5. And I can scooch that one down next to here, and I'm going to do that for this example. So I've got that 5th bead right there, and I'm coming out of it. So the next thing I'm going to do is pick up 4 of my next color arm beads, the ones that go along the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And I'm going to go back from this bead that I'm coming out of, 4 beads on my core. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's easy here because I know that I'm just 1 up from the back from my stop bead, because I've only done 1 arm. There we go. So there's 2. And I'm going to add 1 more core bead. And then pick up my next color of arm beads. 4 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, not 5. And the bead that I'm coming out of, I'm going to count back 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Go through all of those, plus this little guy who's getting away from me. There we go. He just was traveling up my string. You can kind of use your fingernail to push down to get these to stack next to each other a little bit more. And especially here at the beginning, you can kind of rotate these around so that they're next to each other a little bit easier. But you can start, see it's starting its spiral. So I went through those 4, and now I got to do my 1 more. And I'm just going to, before I push this down here, I'm going to go ahead and pick up my next 4 arm beads at the same time, so that I've got my core bead and my 4 arm beads. And I'm going to push all of these down now, so that I don't have to do that twice. There we go. So that's my last core bead. I'm going to count back 1, 2, 3, 4. Go into that bead there. If I can move these beads out of the way. I'm going to go through all of my core beads, but not my little arm beads. This is just a little fiddly when it's so small. It'll get easier as you go. That's what all of those are going to look like with this. And you just keep going with that. You keep adding a core bead, 1 core bead, and then 4 of my arm beads. And then I know that that is 1 on here, so I can count 1, 2, 3, because 1 plus 3 is 4. Go through these. I should push it down first, but I didn't. And now I'm going to do just a little bit of a funky junk thing by going through just this 1 bead. This is, don't do it like this, because do as I say, not as I do. Push it down first. That way you don't get weird, confusing things happening on your string, and it just won't get caught on weird things and make you frustrated and make you want to just rip everything out. But see, so I've already started on my spiral stitch on that. So I'm just going to keep on doing that, and when I get to the point where I have it bracelet length, I will come back here and show you how to attach a button and make a little loop, and we can have a little closure on it. I'll see you then. So here we go. I have it now at bracelet length just to show you. I'm just taking both strands, holding them together, and there's a little bit of space between each end. You can see that, but that's where the button and my loop are going to put that together. And this spiral stitch makes a really easy, and it can be quick, sort of design. The other one that I was making as a necklace, I've been working on it off and on, but only for like maybe half an hour at a time, not a lot of time. This one I started yesterday. I started the recording yesterday. You saw me start it, and I finished it just last night, and I'm ready to record doing the ends so that we can do the closure. But I got to this bracelet length in less than a day, because yesterday I also did all of my laundry. I did the grocery shopping. I took care of things around the house. I cooked. I spent time with my dogs and with my family. So, you know, in the midst of all of that, I was still able to finish this in a day. So just to give you an idea, I think if I was to condense all of the time that I actually took on it, it was maybe about 2 hours that I spent on it to get it to this long. So that might give you an idea if you're thinking about doing this as a gift. And so it is gift giving season right now. We're recording this in November. If you're stumbling on this at another time during the year after I publish it. But I wanted to continue with that idea of it being a gift and make sure that the closures that I'm using are something that anyone could wear, even somebody with like metal allergies or something like that. So I pulled this really pretty glass button. It's got a little glass shank over here on the back. I pulled this out of my button stash, and it's a vintage check glass button, and I'm going to be using that as my closure. You can use other ways of finishing this and doing closures. You could use a wire guardian and just sew a wire guardian into each side. You could, and then attach with jump rings some other closures like a lobster clasp and a ring, or you could do like a box clasp or any other sort of clasp that you wanted to do with it. You could also, where is it? Use a like a glue and end cap, because this is like one of these. You could just glue it in there and have that be a thing. But these are metals that could trigger an allergy on somebody that might wear it. So I'm going to make it friendly to folks who may not be able to wear other types of jewelry that I make. So I'm going to be doing this. Now, where I ended it is after I did my last little arm like this, I came up through these 4 beads that I had originally had it on, and I'm not adding that 5th bead that we add before we do the next arm, because I'm all done adding arms. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4 seed beads on my needle, and I'm going to use the core beads for my loop and for attaching this. I could switch to a different color of beads if I wanted, but I'm going to stick with these. Then I'm going to go through the shank on my button, scooch that down there, and then I'm going to pick up 3 beads. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go back. I'm going to skip the 3 beads next to the button and go through that 4th bead, that first one that I added, and then down through. Whoop. Let's get back here, friend. So I'm skipping those 3. I'm going to move the button out of the way so you can see where I'm going. 1, 2, 3. I'm going, oh no, I'm skipping them. And I'm going through that one button, that first one that I added, and then through 4 more beads on my core, so that I'm coming out right next to this last arm that I added. like that. And now I need to reinforce it, so I'm going to be needing to get my needle back up towards my button, and I'm just going to go up this arm. I've got a nice little turnaround built in to this design. I'm going to go through that, through those first 4 beads that I added, like that, back through my button, and then back through the second 3 beads that I added, and then I'm just going to start sewing back down into my core. And again, the great thing about having this turnaround built into it with all of these different loops is that it makes it so much easier to sew in your thread, because one of the best ways to make sure that your thread is secure when you're adding new thread or finishing this off is to do turnarounds so that you go in different directions than the thread normally went through. So you saw I was coming out of the core next to one of my arms. I went through the arm, and I'm going to go back into my core, but in the other direction, this way. And wherever I come out, I'm not really planning where I come out. I'm going to see if that is next to, there's going to be a, let's go up one more. There we go. So it's coming out next to this arm, so I'm going to go back down through that arm. That was the same arm I went through, by the way. That's why I went up one more. Go back down through it. So I'm changing directions a couple of times. And this way you don't have to do any knots if you just weave it in this way. And this is how you can weave it in so that you can add new thread or take away new thread, old thread. So I'm just going to shove this down through my core a little while, see where it comes out, because it's a little bit bendy. There we go. I came out there. That is right next to this arm. So I'm going to go up through that. And just as long as you change direction at least 3 times when you're doing this, you should be totally fine when you go to cut your thread without having to do any knots. And it'll be nice and secure. So let's get that back in here. And there's so many passes of thread by now in this little section of the thing that there's going to be some tension on the thread itself just from that many threads already being through it. So now that that has been done, it's pretty secure. It's not pulling apart. I can go ahead and cut this thread, and then you can burn it down, or you can use just a thread burner to cut it. I'll burn it down later, because right now we're going to switch over to the other side where I had left this 12-inch tail. I'm going to pull off my stop bead now and thread a needle onto this 12-inch tail that I had left so that we can make a little loop that goes around this button using these beads. So let's take the thread off of here. And I'm going to do that little trick that we can do sometimes with threads like this. And I'm just going to smush it with my pliers real quick to make it flat. Makes it a little bit easier to thread. And then I'm pulling the end. It's hard to see because it's a lighter color thread. Pulling that end down between my fingers so that the fingers can help guide, the edges of my fingers can help guide the eye of the needle onto the thread a little bit easier. Here we go. So flattening it and then holding the thread almost at the end between your fingers is like, those are the 2 tips that I learned that work so well for being able to thread a beading needle, because the eye is very small. All right, so now I'm going to need to string on enough beads to make a loop that will fit around this button, but not so many that it will slide off or slip off when it's being worn. So let's go ahead and pick up some beads, and I'm going to start with 20, and then we will test it and see if it is large enough of a loop for that, and then add as we go. And that's how you can make sure it doesn't matter what size of button you use. As if you use this method, start with like 20 or 30 depending on the size. That's 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. See, there's not very many. 20 isn't that much. So I know I'm probably going to be adding some. That's okay. I like to just make the loop far away from the other end so that it's not getting in the way while I'm testing it. And I was right, that is too small. It doesn't go all the way. So let's add about 6 more of those, so that'll be 26. I'm just guesstimating size 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, how much bigger it needs to be. You can remove some from here at any time too. So if it's too many, I can just take some beads off my little loop here. I'm just pinching it with my fingernail to keep it tight while I test to make sure it will go around. Nope, it's got a pretty deep shank area here, so it's going to need to be a little bit bigger. So I'm at 26. Let's add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more. So that brings me to 32. I like multiples of 8. All right. Now that is very loose. It might, if it's turned the right direction, it might come undone pretty easily. So I'm going to take some of these off. Let's take 4 of them off because I added 6 when it wasn't enough. And to do that, I'm just going to go back through those 4 that I'm taking off, pull my thread through, and there they go. So they're off my needle. At least I thought they were. Let's try that. That's going to be 28. All right, and that goes on easily. Does it come off easily? Maybe, maybe not. I'm going to take 2 off because maybe that 26 was the right size and maybe I was just missing a couple of beads. Let's try it like that and see if I'm right. You can add and subtract as you go. Getting it right is important for being able to wear it. Well, okay, looks like that is going to be the right size for that. So now I've got my loop. I'm going to be reinforcing it very much the same way as I reinforced the other by finding the end where I had started. I'm going to go down into those first 4 core beads that I had started with. And that way it brings that loop together. And now I want to go up through these first 4 arm beads, this is what I started with, so that I can go back in to my loop. I'm just going to jump right over here to this part of my loop, because I want to go through my loop one more time and then weave in my ends. And you can do your loop in little sections. Because it curves, you're not going to be able to string your needle through the whole thing. This is just going to reinforce it so that the beads stay where they are and so the thread doesn't break under tension. All right, so back through, and I'm going to go down, let's go down, I guess 2 more past that original 4, so it ends up being 6 deep. And then I'm going to start the same thing that I did before where I change directions. So I'm going to go up through this arm that's right next to where I'm coming out. Go back into the core right next to that arm. Go down a little further. Just keep going down. Switching directions, going down the core, up the arm, up the core, down an arm, that sort of thing, until I have it. I've done it at least 3 times. Just weaving in my thread and making that secure. Oh, come on. Right, the 3rd. Whoop. There we go. It's going to come out there. That's these blue ones here. All right. I'm going to go up through those originals. And now that that is sewn in, I can again cut my thread, and I'll burn this down later, don't worry. But now I have a spiral stitch bracelet that I can feel good about gifting to anyone who's able to wear this. Now, I measured it from my wrist. If you're doing it as a gift, you'll want to make sure that it will fit their wrist. You can do that by asking them how big around their wrist is, but I am really happy with the way this turned out. And once again, if you want to see some of the other colors that were in the seed bead subscription, I will be linking my unboxing below. And I'm going to keep working on my necklace that I'm making. I haven't decided if I want to make a pet to hang from this or just have it be a freeform necklace, just a regular old necklace. But there you go. Again, you can finish it, you can make it. If you start and then finish, you can make it in a couple of hours. And it makes a really great gift that you can give to someone who is craft worthy. Happy beading!